You got it.
Call the meeting to order. Let's do a roll call.
Sure, Jerry,
Here.
John, Justin,
Here.
Lexi, Brian.
Awesome, thank you. Moving on to the agenda item for the agenda for the council meetings. Do you have any questions, anything pop up there that you need some clarification on anything? Well. They talked to Brian higher and he has accepted his position.
And his term will be until April 1st of next year. That finishes out Donnie Brookville's term, and then he can be reappointed at that time for another 5-year term, and he's aware of that. Also, the mayor reached out to the other applicants.
Yes. Any questions on any of that? Okay, move on. Department and discussion. Going around that we can help along with. So what, Steve, our left.
Threw me for a loop there. Okay, no, just a couple things. One of the biggest, I just want to point out, I am definitely working on trying to get as many of our capital improvement projects completed or at least in the works as soon as possible, try to coincide with the end of the remodel as close as possible. So fitness equipment, I have half an order in that was done a while ago. But I'm working on maybe not half, maybe like a quarter. So the other 3/4 is happening. Hope to have that ordered soon-ish. The golf simulator, I have it down to 3 brands. Brought it to the board and discussed a little bit. So I'm just narrowing that down, how to replace that order. There's 6 to 8, so I'm pushing it and getting pretty close. So I want to send order soon. And then just stuff the fitness rooms as far as shelving, like organizational stuff, to clean it up, as well as flooring in the spin room, which needs to be done. It's the original flooring in that room, so working on that. So anyway, working on those things, kind of get those completed as soon as possible. And then the other thing I know it has been brought to your attention regarding the Spiegel field netting. I had another conversation with Carol about it today, and she was outside and we were talking a little bit today about Tucker Street. Actually, kind of wanted to just get her thoughts on possibilities and whatnot. And she brought it up as far as what her plan of action has been in terms of, I know she came to Marcy and talked, she came to myself, she came to Kai, she's talked to all of us in terms of, had asked what it takes to get in front of you guys. And then she also informed me that she did talk to AJ Spiegel about it as well. Just as far as your names on the field, and this is what's going on. So I just want to bring it to your attention more than anything else, just so you guys aren't surprised if you get any questions. Feedback for there. It did intrigue me. We're definitely doing a little more research as far as all the requirements that are in place regarding collegiate baseball fields, semi-pro baseball fields, and where we stand with all of that. A lot of it is extremely difficult to find as far as like type requirements for backstop and that kind of stuff. You wouldn't think it's pretty cookie cutter, but it's not. So I'm still doing some more research on that just to make sure we are fully covered within what the requirements are. So he's never, and we've had many, no, I haven't, but him and I had many discussions throughout the years regarding it, and it was never that we aren't up to the requirement, correct, it was just, we know that about us. So, again, sure,
We have, is there a formal contract we have with them as far as?
with Clark, yes.
How long is that, year?
It's annual, so that's actually part of my next update, that's on Tuesdays, is that I am working since I have a new coach. I met with the coach, it's Navy, our assistant coach, talked through a bunch of things just to see kind of how similar it was gonna be ran compared to how Spain did it and how, whatever, so we are working out the ins and outs of that contract as we speak.
Stacy, with the inquiry on the netting, has there been damage to property or is it just nuisance of balls getting in the yard? There has. What kind of damage is there? You know,
Windows, siding.
My stance on that is, they built and were bought next to the low line.
I don't disagree with that comment at all. I'm more like curious,
Oh,
trying to put it in context. What was bringing the issue ahead?
Hers is, well, a couple, like safety obviously is one, she mentioned her house, but then also mentions the playground, which is something we figure out as well, but safety and then disrespect of people, so a lot of balls end up in her yard. It's not necessarily causing damage, what's causing damage is people going into her yard and rushing through bushes and flowers and whatever to get the balls. And then leaving her yard, and that's what she has the biggest issue with.
I think your comment was one of my thoughts as well. It's like you built next to a ball field. You knew what you were building at. If you build next to a golf course and you're at 200 yards down the left side of the fairway, you thought you were going to get ball. So it's just, those are some things we need to think about. I think request.
I thought they're sharing this, so.
Have we ever had a child get or somebody get injured in fire
So
that we know of?
we had a child, that got hit by a car when.
Well, I remember that.
Okay, when the ball went across the street and it ran back without looking. On the playground, no, do balls land like on the slides and stuff? Yes.
Any other questions for Stacy? You want Dean?
Yeah, so a couple things, I guess I'll start off, if anybody's concerned about what's going on over on Cox Springs, Callahan is in the process, or actually has made the tie-in, the actual tie-in on the water main for the east side of the, storm culvert that goes through his property. Sort of water for that, and he has made that tie over there yesterday. Later part of last week there, both of the buildings did directional drilling underneath the Cox Springs Road. So that has been made. His intent is, as he just informed me yesterday, was to try to get paving done on that project, this month yet. So, and it's my understanding what he notified me, and we should have some documentation somewhere, that we are in charge of the inspections on the paving portion of that. So that's a responsibility
Segue.
for,
Your training would also.
briefly recall having that discussion. So when that comes into play, when the paving actually takes place, we will have to have an on-site inspector there or sample weighing out the concrete and test to be taken there. So moving on from that, obviously the Turnlane project taking place down here. Few glitches in act, some depth differences on the storm sewer versus according to the plan, but minor for the most part. I had a conversation with Steve Horsfield today. They do plan on maybe not next week, but following week, getting multiple crews in there. Once they get up to Piast Street, they want to make faster action on that project so that they can try to make a completion of it this year. Yeah. So their goal right now is to get it completed, which would be great. You know, the weather's permitting, obviously. So we'll see what happens there. Today, CenturyLink was down there. We got a couple stragglers on the outside utilities that are still waiting on to get them moved. CenturyLink was down there today. And we're waiting on MediaCom, which to my understanding, what contractor is saying, is probably going to take a hit to get their attention, to get them out there. So I talked to them about it. moving forward, positive thoughts, right with safety. Yeah, hopefully we can get through it.
I'd like to talk a little bit about today, the meeting out at Thunder Ridge Estates, and that's kind of why Steve's here too.
Yep, absolutely. I think
Yeah,
involved in that until, I'll, I guess, let Steve, take action on
You
that.
can sit.
No, I can't. I need,
Okay.
I need to demonstrate my skill by handing something up. I've only fallen down once, so that was, you don't want to see something this big fall down.
Is there- Straight line in your.
Yeah, I just better skill there. I only have 3 doors to replace home, that's kind of.
does that have a backup leak on it?
Yeah, I get joked about that, so. Dean, excuse me, Dean and I and Annette met down out of Thunder Ridge, on your access road to your lift station out there, and we were contacted, earlier this summer. The homeowners association wants to address a pretty massive erosion issue out there along our access road. And you guys have that graphic on the computer?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up here.
Okay, so that's kind of the location of it. At the end of Navarre Court, there's a kind of a crushed stone drive that's probably at about 25% grade going down to the lift station. And this looks a lot like my neighborhood. So all the water runs down that road to that cul-de-sac. And basically gets diverted to that access road, which again is just crushed stone. There's some pretty massive erosion on the left side of it as you're going down. That homeowner, I think, has been pretty patient and tolerant, but it's pretty ugly, pretty unsafe. The homeowners association approached Annette and Dean about, hey, we've got an estimate to put an inlet in and some piping, and we think that that'll solve the problem. And I got involved in there, and it's about an $18,000 estimate on there that they got from a contractor. And though it would help the situation, it's not gonna solve the erosion problem. It's not even close. And so we met today with 2 members of the homeowners association out there. Unfortunately, the president of the association couldn't make it to talk through just my concerns. And Dean and I have been out there a couple times before and really talked through some of the options. And it's if the goal is to make sure that that doesn't erode again, essentially you gotta build a road and you put curb and gutter there and pretty massive storm sewer. And it would not be an easy construction, because like I said, it's probably 20-25% grade. It's pretty ugly. And I talked through that with the folks there. If that was the goal, there's 2 ways to accomplish it: build this road or find a different way to the lift station. And I put 3 options together for you. The top one would be just pipe and it would take more than what they're proposing, a number of inlets, some bigger pipe. And I tried to hammer home, as I have to you guys many times, storm sewer systems are the one thing that we designed to fail. It's just how often do you want them to fail? There will be a rain event, probably tomorrow and another one next week, that exceeds the capacity of what we put in there. And so we can slow down that erosion, but we'll never get it away. And even so, the inlets that we put there are going to capture frequent storms, which are small. They're not erosive events. It's the big events that really wash that stone. And so those are still going to be there. And so they kind of got the brain wrapped around that. I think they understood that. The homeowner came out and she was giving us a lot of history and flow paths and whatnot. And it's pretty obvious, as is the case in my neighborhood, there was supposed to be drainage ditches out there. And when people go build their houses, they don't want a drainage ditch there, so they grade them away. So then where the water was intended and designed to go, it goes where it wants to go. And right now, there's a lot of water going where it's not supposed to go, down our road, and it should go to the other side of that house. It's not, because there's a flower bed and all sorts of nice stuff there. But in all honesty, even if it did go where it was supposed to go, we'd still be faced with this problem. So they agreed for us to ask us to prepare a few different options, and they were going to go get their own cost estimates to accomplish these things, which I'm fine with. So I gave 3 options here. Again, option 1 was more inlets and pipes, a little bigger pipes beyond what they had initially proposed. I have a pretty big contingency here because constructing on the side of this hill, I do not know what type of premium you're gonna pay on this, but it's gonna be something. So you're probably in the $45,000 to $65,000 magnitude of cost for that option. I don't recommend that option. I think you're gonna be spending money and not solving the problem that we're trying to solve. Option two would be essentially building a road. It's a driveway, but it'd be full curb and gutter pavement. We'd have to do some extra things with the pavement to put enough skid resistance. Right now, when Dean has maintenance go down there, he has to pull them out with a skid loader and an end loader and push them up out of the hill and pull them up out of the hill. It's just not manageable. So a hard surface road, we'd have to have enough skid resistance for that to be able to have it. Again, magnitude of cost there, you're probably in the 90 to 120. Depending upon what we have to do. Option three would be what I would at least recommend we pursue first. It's significantly cheaper. I think it's the best alternative. It comes with a little bit of political challenges though. And that would be when this lift station was built, there was an access road running to the northwest. Down to, what road does that go to? Cottingham. And it's since been vacated and it's a large part of it is part of private property. It's graded, it goes right to where it needs to be, it's at a pretty manageable slope. You just have to acquire that property. And there's actually 3 property owners we'd have to acquire from, and it's my understanding in the past, we've approached them. One would be AJ, one would be the homeowners association themselves, and the third one's a private citizen out there. The HOA was amenable to giving us an easement. AJ was amenable to giving us an easement. The private homeowner was not at that point. It would take a little bit of clearing. There wouldn't be much grading and we'd have to put some gravel down. That would be the extent of getting it operable. After we gain control of that. So estimating that, I have an estimate of about $10,000 to $40,000. I'd love for us to be able to just go get access easements, not have to pay for them, and then just do the improvement. That's the best case scenario. The worst case would be you'd have to go through eminent domain to get control of that land. And then you're gonna pay something to acquire the parcel that you need. And I don't know what land value would be out there, but you know, it's not the best property, the best land, but it's adjacent to some pretty valuable property. So I have no idea what that'd be assessed at, but for purposes of this estimate, I said it would be about $30,000 a acre. So I think in the magnitude of somewhere of $10,000 to $40,000, you can gain access there. We can eliminate that access road that's eroding, put sod down, that erosion problem goes away, your access problem goes away. And it's a fraction of the price of everything else from a construction standpoint. The cost is political. So, Dean, and that anything to add to?
Yeah, and as Steve said, obviously, the third option does include just the cost of the property, but there would be restoration in that, and there would be some access management that would have to take place coming off of Cottingham. But long term, I feel that it would be most beneficial to go that route if it's possible. But yeah, there would definitely probably be about another 25,000 included in, I would say, to make that access point available to us. Along with I believe it was like last fall,
I think you're left now.
about a year ago, possibly. I don't know if anybody can remember when they approached us on wanting to come through, Thunder Ridge, Well House property over there to access a portion of their property, but it was right around that time, but that's before that time.
That's the same.
The same property, I think. No, there is not.
We don't have to coordinate anything with the 2 counties, is that with access point?
No, I would assume that there was already approved access point. If the electrical utility uses it right now to maintain their line, we would share that with them. It's about 1,000 feet long, and I would say 800 of it is in, you wouldn't even know it's there. It's in some pretty densely wooded area.
David, once he comes out, scopes out, can you look and show us where the access point is? Because when we were talking about that today, I was trying to wrap my arms around.
The original you're talking?
Yeah.
I guess I could go both.
You could actually kind of see, it's a little bit different color there running to the northwest.
So yeah, the original access point is right here,
That's the existing.
or the existing one is, the original. The original actually takes place right here. And comes down,
Kind of wraps around.
well, the original sewer actually ended up about here, but right now we would. Continue to the northeast and then get on Paddington.
And that's about
That's-
1,000 feet.
This is Paddington.
No,
It's about 1,000 feet. That's Thunder Hill to the left, so it kind of curls,
Yeah, you can go down a little bit with it, Mark.
slide down, Marcy, the other, or up.
There you go.
Zoom in or is that good?
Chester.
Chestnut, we're down here. Yeah, so it comes along,
So yeah, it basically comes through here, this.
and
clearing
it
right
heads to
here.
the almost straight north.
And then right here would be point to it. Yeah, right now. Right here. And all of this water comes out in Navarra.
And then goes downward.
You know, it'd help if there was some relief this way, but it basically all comes around and funnels through this driveway.
So that in that scenario, they still need to do some improvements down there, the homeowners, and so they were committed to putting in some inlets and some piping down there to help their membership at that end of the cul-de-sac. That wouldn't be our deal. Ours would be the access.
Direction.
Well, your 69,000 was their homeowners association gonna pay for any of that? Since
They would kick in some, you know, right now they have it's called $19,000 estimate in hand that they were ready to move forward with. I don't know that they've asked us to contribute any of that.
Correct, yeah, there hasn't been any, you're responsible for 40% or 50% at this point.
And again, I don't think that solves the problem. It slows it down. I think they'll still be back at us. I did say that if we were gonna do something like that, I would recommend to you guys that we get a release from the homeowner and from the homeowners association that we're responsible for nothing more beyond this. Because I know that it will come back. I just don't know when.
Could we ask the board association to talk to the resident?
They have been in conversation with me,
he's not part of the association.
that's my understanding.
He's got the same response, the board association.
The same response.
They know that
They know it's not right.
not interested in.
So if we ask our homeowners association.
You're talking about the one where we want to get the deed.
Yeah.
So if
I
one of the-
thought you were talking about the ones that were being affected by the water.
So if we got the homeowners association, they might have a little more, influence.
And they possibly have already, I can't answer that right now.
We asked them today, the two gentlemen that were there from the association, and kind of explained to them these magnitudes of cost. I was kind of shooting from the hip, but I was pretty close. And I said, you know, it'd be very difficult as a neighbor, and this was me, to know that my willingness to do something or not do something is going to cost my neighbors 3 times the amount of money, 4 times the amount of money. And so I said, with armed with this information, would you guys be willing to go plead to him and say, hey, this help us out, we need this is the better course of action. And they wanted this printout. Sure. Have something to work with. They're gonna try on their behalf and we'll try it on ours.
I think we should at least explore that.
That's what it's possible to get that as is.
Yeah, that's the recommendation.
Right.
Maybe we should go with the homeowners association and go together.
Yeah, that was the communication problem.
The homeowners station agree that that's a better approach.
I don't remember remember, when they wanted to access that property from the water tower lot, what did he want to do? You remember?
He was
He was gonna split them off, he was gonna sell a lot for Allen. One or two anyway.
Hmm.
He does, yes.
I feel even what, as Steve said, that release from the property owner and the homeowners association for maintenance on that act, that the existing, we would still have to accept responsibility for it, only for the simple fact that we still have to access it, so anytime we want to, we still have to maintain it, so I think it's gonna be a continuous maintenance issue, yeah. The quote that they got is pretty generic.
And right now, we couldn't drive a pickup truck down there, it was the size of the garage.
Basically, I mean, they don't want to.
You know, out there that, where's it, along the access by the water tower, or that's. Just. Right, that is in the, who's maintaining it. Who's following.
And
Yeah.
if we ever had well issues over there and we're put that well back in operation, you know, it's just a narrow access point basically for that well house. Yeah. It would agree to dispute.
Let's just have the homeowners association, if they say that we'll respond to that. So have they got this yet?
They have not, I just, after our meeting, I went back and had a set up a little bit of the meeting tonight, so I'll email that to Annette and you can get that too.
Absolutely.
You have a follow-up for.
We told that we would get the information to them, so I will send it out to those that attend.
Why don't you kind of talk that idea out about whether they approach from the approach?
Sure. Yep.
Just get their thoughts. They might have a better feel on how that would work. What would work better.
Just thinking forward to, you know, Steve's comment about eminent domain, and like, I don't even know what that would require, but if we had an existing access point, we even meet criteria, but look, that we need a different access point, where actually get it under eminent domain.
I believe so, just given the difficulty of accessing it right now. And then you talked about access during, extreme events in a big range. We need to get down there. We might not be able to get down. And in fact, today, if it were to happen right now, Dean wouldn't get down there with a vehicle. He'd have to go back and down there. And it wouldn't be able to bring a generator when he needs. So I think you can make the case from that standpoint, on top of the cost side. Yeah.
Well, and one of that, it could be the harm that could be done to a child or whatever it may be with the washout, with the destruction that is taking place already from the rain.
Now, the existing homeowner's concern, she's got, look like, you know, probably a 10-year-old and 7-year-old kids. So a lot of the neighbors come over and play there and they're just waiting for a lake to get broken and that washout.
No liability. You can rappel down.
Getting down there, you want to go, you can lay on your belt. Think about it, Brian, getting down there is not a problem. Get down. You can come over and say,
Yeah.
Interested in that?
I don't know really, I don't know more of the get back with the homeowners association, get their brains. And it, for the plan of that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Anything else? You want to talk about?
Questions, anybody else have?
Michael?
Hey, the only thing I got for you is what's on here, the trunk or treat event, I would talk about that, and then the Humane Society, so those are the only two things I got for you, so you wanna,
So,
Right, it is.
next, so. Let's go with that.
You have a guest speaker tonight. We're all familiar with the trunk or treat events that are done. So, Carissa and Shandi thought it would be a great idea for us to entertain that idea, and, I'm sure you don't want to speak.
Well, Stacy, I think. You want me to take it?
Stop rolling your eyes.
Yeah, so obviously, Carissa and Tony came up with the idea of trunk or treat. With the idea that we reach out to local businesses and try to get them on board and hold this event. The biggest discussion, I think, well, first, I guess it's overwhelmingly been, like, businesses are more than willing to do this. So that's been I don't know if it's surprising, not surprising, but it's been awesome in terms of whatever. When we've approached them, we've been very non-committal in terms of location. We don't know for sure where we're gonna hold it. So one of the things we're talking about is Piasta Community Parkway. With the idea that we would close down a portion of the road, so from the end of like PCC, like parking lot, down to, well, there's a cul-de-sac or a little bit, I don't think we get all the way to the cul-de-sac.
Oh, right too.
But
Adrena Drive, we would just close that up. You'd have two squads barricaded off and it'd be closed off for that section. That'd be option one. Option two could be possibly Piasta Elementary too.
We got a note from them. They have like a 2-day conference thing and they, were unable to accommodate on that date.
So NSCC will allow us to use their parking lot, however, we're not allowed to do food trucks. So as a part of it, we're thinking we do food trucks as well as the trucks. With the idea that food trucks give back when they do that kind of thing. That money would go to Kelly Oaks was kind of the initial thought. So we can use NSCC, but the food trucks are gone, which is why we thought Piasta Community Parkway. I think, I don't know, I'm all for this, obviously, I'm extremely biased in terms of whatever, but it's not a road, and I know Shomer has to do that, but I'm not sure exactly how you feel about it, but I think
I
that
will work with you guys with whatever you.
location, being close to the community center, having that road that no one, I mean, they don't even use, they can still get out of the intersection without interfering with them, and then having, so the thought was we do food trucks closer to the parking lot, so if someone wanted to just come for food trucks, they can just go and take off, and then maybe kids have to walk by the food trucks and then back by on the way, and then obviously line up the trunks.
My biggest thing, I didn't talk to you about it, is the no ball fields like Clarksdale baseball at that time on that day.
Correct, so that is,
There's no soccer practice or anything.
so soccer will be done, Clark is not done. However, I've been going back and forth with them to see what their preference. Obviously, we used to have volleyball scored in the history. So what I actually arranged with them was, if this works out, if this is approved to do it on Piasta Community Parkway, they're gonna hold practice earlier than what they normally do. And then they're actually gonna incorporate themselves within the first half hour, 45 minutes. And do like candy and that kind of stuff down in the fields and do like races, the route races. So yeah, so I thought it was a cool concept again, nothing, no guarantees, and that wasn't for sure. 6 to 7:30, the 26th of October. So 6 to 7:30 is what we said with, I think we said they'd have to, the cars, the trunks would have to be set up by 5:30, just so everyone is stationary by the time people start walking within that area.
That was one of my big things too, is making sure all the vehicles are in there before our starting time, because once that's barricaded, no cars are gonna be allowed for the people who walk in that directed area, so we would make sure people are like.
So, I mean, obviously the thought is upper, lower, and the road by the community center is what the thought is.
So it could be south of the lower.
Correct. So that way PCC people can still get in and out too.
So thought to have the trunk or treat event and a trick or treat event, or one or the other.
Yes, I think this was more to
Yeah.
incorporate businesses.
More business, right?
So.
But
I think it's fantastic.
And I think the location's the obvious excellent location.
You know, for next year, when City Hall is built, you know, everything up, the upper lot, that's more than likely where we will hold it next year, but that's something to think about, because you can put them. You know, I think we'd be able to fit everything, and people could park at the school and walk over.
in the lower.
Yeah, you can get put on the
Yeah. I like it.
So we're all in favor.
Okay, does that mean it has to go on the agenda? to post on the road, or how is that?
So usually what I ask for permission, we put it in the agenda for the council meeting that we're gonna close the road during that time, and get the bless, you guys get the bless.
Thanks.
Great idea.
Here we have a possible order.
Hey, we're going at the city council.
We have 30.
I was gonna say, so far we have 30 minutes.
30 minutes, so
Wow.
Oh,
Well, some are like Boy Scout, like.
Yeah, so
I know, but
Scouts.
30 minutes. Awesome.
So now Shani can finish the flyer, put it in the newsletter, put it on Facebook. So-
Contact the food trucks and the ones that have food truck, mobile food truck licenses.
Or if we turn it into a fundraising park, then anything. This is gonna.
Well, I mean, I think, I was gonna say, I was
Work session.
Work with people.
gonna say, I mean, we have a lot that happens. What's it-
I love the idea, I think everyone wants to. Nothing but positives. All right,
Yeah, I'm gonna be for trick.
okay. So, I think we're gonna skip over trick or treating. Trick or treating.
I've always had it on Halloween.
What hours would you like to establish?
5 till 10:30.
5:30.
Well,
5:30.
but I.
5:30 to 7.
6, 7:30.
I'll be check.
I was gonna say 5:30. Whatever it was last year, I guess.
Yeah.
For some reason, I wanted to say it was 5:30 to 7, or 6 to 7:30. It's like, oh,
It's always on one and a half. Maybe we had to like kind of move it last year. Last year was 6 to 7.
very good.
Start fast.
I think because of parents that are trying to get home from work.
I get home, I guess we'll be out there on the street already.
Well.
Well, and that was kind of the thought, is keep the times the same, so. Yeah.
That does that. Okay.
Thank you. So Dean and I met 4 or 5 weeks ago to walk the corridor. Initially,
Thank you, Sean.
we were looking at putting it on the east side of Cox Springs. And then after looking at the impacts to the property and the likelihood of not being able to do it without cooperation of those adjacent properties, to put a 10-foot trail in the front yard. And looking at the easy construction on the west side of Cox Springs, we ended up moving it and built the cost estimate around that. There's still gonna be some easements required. I know Seaton is on board with it. And then you got the undeveloped property, one house to deal with, so. We built it around, assuming DOT funding, so 10-foot width, Portland cement concrete, and then DOT items, so.
You said one house, we have 2 property owners.
We have, well, I guess,
Yeah, they're
3
like,
houses.
It's the Amara. Or ones that are backing out.
Those ones, and then the Cal property.
Okay, on the other corner.
Yeah, the intersection of Bird, yeah, so.
So 3 property owners.
So is there a 10-foot wide versus a normal sidewalk?
If you go after DOT funding for a multi-use trail, they're gonna be trail.
So that was the whole reason that was switching gears to the car was affected east side and Cox Springs. But I don't think any of those property owners are gonna want a 10-foot trail, basically a pathway of a street. One
Well, that's what I was
lane.
kind of thinking is 2 homes closer to the park, their backyard.
It is.
It's not the same thing, that's the same thing. Push back.
And maybe the important property built through there where we have to narrow it up. You know, and, you know,
Which is fine.
that doesn't
Yeah.
respond to make
From
a
regular
So,
size.
funding would help with it. Shot back to a 6-foot sidewalk or something, and then continue the trail back to the 10 or whatever, when we get into that, like, in the park, you know, that's. If it's some negative pushback that, we're gonna get, I'll address it.
Then we haven't talked to any property owners yet, right? About the concept. Here now. I guess I always assume that's the side of the road and beyond.
Well, the reason originally I was steered toward the east side of the road is that's all undeveloped yet. Not knowing what the grades are gonna be on that side. Say for example, if the trail was put in this year, 2 years from now, development takes place over there and all gets destroyed and ripped out. Again. It just seemed like the east side was more of a long-term beneficial way to go with it.
Is that intersection by Juliana? I'm just thinking kids crossing the street there. I think it's safe.
Right down the walking.
It'd be safer.
Yeah, and that's the first point.
We put work in there, and then we put some, obviously signage, we put that brick, like what we have in front of the schools, a sign in the middle of the road, just 25 through there. And it does go down to 20, it was smoother than that, so.
Worst case scenario, we could probably adjust that 20-foot school zone or 20-mile-an-hour school.
We would go after.
Working back to that side. If we need to. Right.
If the kids cross. the
Absolutely.
I went to work today.
Yeah. So unsafe.
He was lost. So.
Exactly right.
To kind of add to what Jake said, I met with Clay, Ellsworth, the new principal team today, and kind of went over, just, it was basically a meeting read, Mike joined me on that, so put a name with a face, and we talked a little bit about, we talked a lot about this project, and we talked about a lot of the other projects that's happening in the Austin, and, 100% supported this. Obviously, we have to go to the school board, and we have to go to the diocese, to get the easement, for that multi-use trail. But, pardon me? Again, I wanted to. Okay. Nope, I can start it.
How wide is our right of way through there? That's something to consider. We may not even have to go.
I think we looked at, I think it's only 6 foot county right away.
We probably. Wouldn't necessarily have to get an easement.
Well, yeah, the conceptual design, we're up higher, I think.
A grading easement.
Yeah, at least you'd probably need a grading, I don't know if it reside. Currently, we have it residing just inside the property, but I think maybe that would avoid that overhead. Trying to remember what John did that.
Oh, yeah, I believe there was a guy where.
I think he kept it up high. On that inside the property as opposed to out the right away. To avoid some of the overhead that's running through there, but.
We can do this with just easements, we don't have to acquire property.
No, not for that portion. We wouldn't.
All right. You say we're not the core, I remember Jerry saying that not that, yeah, sign on with a flag.
It's the wrong brand.
Yeah, that was why we discussed replacing that. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a free for all of them. And, yeah, it does. All right, any other questions, for Jake here as far as, quote? I'm not sure.
It's just
Opinion
an
of what is going on.
Without the structure was 1.5.
Yep. That's what we assume.
Not gonna get any cheaper from.
It's necessary throughout.
But, I'm 100%.
And we had the homeowner from Liliana here a couple of meetings ago talking about the need for the sidewalk there for the city.
So the sidewalk.
The portion of concrete was,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, no, I didn't have that.
I have a quick question for you, Jake. Is there any sort of pedestrian actuated crossing at Juliana there? I mean, I'm assuming there's some people coming across there,
We probably put an RRFB, something,
something like we have in Asbury for.
yeah. You mean like on Asbury Road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, get your attention when someone wants to cross there.
Well, I think also what I was gonna bring up, we put the flashing lights like we have in front of Yost Elementary down there too, you know, you can push the button and that'll help tremendously a lot too.
I'm just wondering, if you're pursuing funding, but probably I'm assuming that would be an eligible cost to add some sort of crossing mechanism there.
If I'm not mistaken, Jake, I think you had a line item in there for signage or.
Yeah, if we don't specifically have it in there, something that's probably eligible. The state DOTs had an issue with those RRFPs. They were proprietary, so they had to be sole source, and so a lot of times the DOT would fund them. But I think they worked that out. So I think they're eligible costs now. But yeah, we would get whatever the city wanted, if you wanted an RR, if one of those rapid flashing beacons or signage to get across. There's plenty of grant opportunities outside of the DOT funding for that as well. But then a couple of them in Cascade, for some crossings, they consolidate crossings within rapid flashing beacons. So I think the DOT can ready for those, but.
Mine with the state funded the last time. That's what we do.
What about
The base.
Yeah, these two did not.
We did never wood poles and snap off. Go ahead, we can see that.
Any other questions for Jake? Thank you, Jake. Discussion for the utility equipment collection. And I've got a recommendation here. Look it over. And questions and you'd like to see added or. Yeah.
No, that was my recommendation. Yeah, I have it that way.
While it was
So it's
put in.
yeah, perfect.
Could you speak up, like when they're here, saying? They must be tied, no longer than 4 foot in length, they must be tied or secured, and not weigh more than 50 pounds, tied and secured.
In a bundle.
So tree branches be bundled.
The tree branches shall be no longer than 4 feet in length and must be tied or secured and not weigh more than 50 pounds.
Does the council agree with that?
That's what we're discussing.
I was thinking, I'd like, in the first place, I'd like to see garden waste included in this. In this, in here. And
What do you mean by garden waste?
that native plants, you know, stuff in your garden.
That when you do your canning and your, like you have watermelon, corn cob, that's supposed to be compost.
I think that should be along with the normal compost site. I mean, we're getting away from.
This isn't the compost, I'm saying.
No, this is the compost site. I think we're trying to regulate the amount of tree branches and stumps and other stuff that's not allowed there than what is allowed in there. When you start saying what is allowed in there, you're gonna have a huge list of everything that you should bring.
So yard waste, so you would classify that as yard waste?
Yeah. To me, that'd be.
Before you go, you can take your.
Sure.
I think everybody's doing it now. You gotta take it there.
Yeah. Well, I think our garden, that's in the
Compost.
whatever.
You could say in the first sentence, you can say garden that's generated.
Well, what is the process now? I know what the process was when we originally started. But does it all have to be hauled out? I know we have a problem with the big stuff getting burnt now. Can we find another place to burn it, and make arrangements if we have something big to get burnt?
Well, the problem
I don't
was
know.
that people were bringing in stuff that shouldn't have been dumped there,
Right,
and they had to go
Is that our only problem though, or are we having other problems, or?
We're taking a lot of views from commercial.
That's where,
That's what we're
Mostly
trying to
in-house.
do.
that's where the.
It's not homeowner, it's not city use.
But, okay, so when we put the compost there and you pick it up, where's it go? Does it go over the airport over there?
Upward doesn't take anything anymore, they don't even have a compost pile, they got, they're not even for their own residents because of the same issues that we're having, it was being abused.
So
When we haul the grass, we take them to the landfill. And just to try to minimize the cost and the intensity of our labor and time of hauling tree branches in there, we've been burning them.
well, I would, yeah, the bigger stuff, I would, if we have a place to burn them, that's where to go with it. But we're not actually doing a compost operation, are we?
No, we are not.
No.
What happened? Because we lost a place to take it, or what?
Well, did we ever,
On site.
did we used to ever haul
No, we used to have a guy come in and check everything.
We never had a good.
It used to be,
It was-
well,
we
first
used to have
set
a
it
good
up,
site where they used to burn.
when we
the
first
tree
set it up,
branches.
it was down there, and if you had something big, you let that know it was dry enough to just down burn.
Correct, that was when the city owned them.
But we started out compost operation to actually produce compost.
it? Did we ever generate compost?
No, we never had.
Well,
Never have
at
it,
that time, that was, we could haul it over there free.
yeah, but we didn't generate compost
I mean, all
for
we
the
did
citizens.
was truck.
But we
I think
should,
very much a mistake in Upwork with when Leesner had.
That place outside, I know they ran into trouble, they ran into trouble with their frying oil.
Correct, that was not the city of Upwork, that was Leesner.
No, it wasn't the city,
Right.
it was just, but they took it for nothing at that time.
Absolutely,
That doesn't exist.
that no longer does
That would
exist.
take it to the land.
He was taking so much grief with that from the DNR, the state. Yeah, basically all the surroundings that, he basically shut that site down and rendered it out to a different client.
So now we're taking it to like the land,
Correct.
that goes to the land.
The grass clippings we take to the landfill, the tree trimmings, we currently are burning. But I mean, if there's a burn ban out, then we obviously can't, and our power is a little bit out of control.
Are we still able to burn it by the states?
No, we're not.
Where's that at?
where do you take it from?
We burn right there in the bin itself where the bin actually is.
I was
Burning's
wondering,
not a good process because
I just don't want to get to the point where we're gonna just say we're gonna shut it down. Too much that we can or can't do, and it's costing the city too much, it's costing, too much labor to handle it and stuff. So I mean, that's the goal here, is not shut it down.
Well, yeah,
I think that
that's
miss-
your environmental, you know, have an environmental.
Yeah, but we've never actually done it.
Yep, I got some thoughts. Actually, yeah, so our bin is big enough, but the staging of it, when it's done, we're yeah, we're needing some site. The stage.
I was wondering if you could change the definition of the branches a little bit, maybe go to, instead of 4 feet in length, just go like 6 inches in diameter. And cut them in 6-foot pieces.
I think we're trying to keep it
Keep it
manageable
for,
the guys who have to move it.
well, that's what I'm saying, 6 inches diameter, the way you have it written, it could be any diameter, 4 feet long.
Well, but it can't go
Can't be
50
more
pounds.
than 50 pounds.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't. 6 inches, there's no diameter on it right now.
Right.
So I don't think I want to look at 6 feet, that's kind of unwieldy. I'm just, the idea behind this is that, Dean and his guys have to, handle this stuff to process it, get rid of it.
I do think we quite a good.
That's what's in here right now.
Actually, or 6 days, I'm sorry.
That's when.
But if they only cut a 2-foot chunk, or a 1-foot chunk, at a 6-inch diameter, that's not really the stuff that we want. So it's not gonna burn. Not very fast. Not very effectively.
Do you agree that, I mean, the
So,
50 pound,
Pardon?
what do you think? It's better 4 foot things like that.
I mean, trimmings is one thing, branches are one thing. Start to actually We're talking Trump, I mean, that gets a little expensive. for us.
I was just talking like 4, 6 inches diameter branch, not trunk.
6 inches is basically a trunk, though, I mean, a 6 inch diameter branch is.
Yeah.
Pretty aggressive.
6 inches, branch, we gotta look at that size.
The trunk doesn't need to be there, but
Right, what we're getting, right. I mean, I don't know that should have to be defined in a branch and trunk, I mean, that's pretty obvious, so.
Maybe you feel like it'll help your guys to have them bundled. Have them tied together and bundled, or does it matter?
That's not really gonna matter to us.
It's more the weight, right?
It's more, yeah, it's more of the amount.
I'm more concerned with what they're gonna tie.
It's the trailer units that are coming in.
Yeah, and all of a sudden,
Chain or something, that's in there. Farm chicken is good, chicken. So.
I think like it's the enforcement too, you know, just, you know, even seeing them up there, you know, and catching them, doing it again, cameras will help. And not there yet, so it's just the enforcement, you can put this all on paper, which is fine. It's the knowledge given to the citizens.
But
know what they
really,
can get.
if the cameras are there, the units gotta show up and there's a tree.
Correct, and we
Then
be
we
able to
want
look,
them to
correct,
back up, say, hey,
And then did we settle the topic of what we wanted the fine to be a deterrent? Because we're not looking at that language.
I think it was this stuff that we would, I want to throw this out, it's like $1,000 fine.
Please, maximum.
I would rather try to get this language squared away first and then,
I just wanted, when it comes back, yeah, deal with both, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm for whatever our max is, can we get enough of a deterrent, so we're not chasing.
so from what I'm hearing, maybe take away the tie secured.
yeah, it's not right against.
Are you
Doesn't tell
okay
us
with-
very about it, but I mean, if that verbiage is in there, that's one thing. And that's their.
Yeah.
we can probably take the tie out. I don't, if we leave the 50 pound in there, it probably doesn't matter. If
I
it's
heard that.
6 foot long or 4 foot long, and, like, or whatever, and it's not much more than 50 pounds. So like garden waste is included in the actual yard, waste, is what you're saying, is right?
I would assume that's.
We could add the word in there, they mean yard and garden waste.
That's all I care about. I don't want to haul my potatoes, my yard stuff out there and say, hey, you can do it.
We don't have a
Yeah,
problem with
that's
household yard waste. I mean,
All
nobody here has a problem with household
can't
yard
get the
waste.
same.
It's the forest.
I mean, to haul all that stuff into the landfill and get, you know, have a $20 load.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, that ties us up for hours. Yeah, days.
Okay, so do we want to keep the 4 foot length?
I think you can 50 pounds in there, you go, and like, doesn't matter.
But if we're hauling this in a,
I
as
would,
far as a truck. You got an 8-foot piece of,
I'd keep it in there.
you know what I mean?
Like,
Right.
That comes.
That's the talk about.
remove the
So I
top,
think we just keep it to 4 feet.
Or, yeah, 4 foot.
put the word garden in there.
I will, I've got that written down and I'll take down the tie or secured. And the county just pointless at this point, so I'll take that out. And then we'll leave in their tree stumps.
How much is?
Do you want me to leave the 50 pounds in there?
Yeah, pounds in there, yeah. You can have
Is that what that's in the key video?
You know, a 4-foot trunk and exactly. Wet. Green.
Dean, did you want a diameter?
Technically, if we're looking at just branches, maybe technically it shouldn't see 2 inches. Right. I mean, it was a limb or a pretty aggressive limb, if it's over 2 inches diameter.
And that's going to point to the shrubs. Some shrubs have a very large caliber on them. So I mean.
I definitely have ones bigger than 2
You're
inches.
gonna have to say shrub.
Definitely not bigger than 4. Not bigger than.
Yep, 4 inch diameter.
Yeah, tree branches and shrubs, that'd be all.
Weight on that. 4 inch diameter.
So how are we going to keep the contractors out?
Well, we're gonna get cameras. Eventually. Once my,
Why not just get
Maybe
a
help the
game
citizens.
camera with motion detector and pose it at certain times and if
I think I closed it, open it.
I don't have my phone with me right now, gladly hand it to you.
Every time it goes on, you gotta.
Close, the motion detector go off.
We talked about that before, we actually think it generates work for me, they have to go open and close.
I'll talk about the place closed. Oh, let's see.
No, somebody has to go open it, somebody has to go close it.
And then they'll put stuff.
Somebody's
in front of the gate.
They're doing work on a Sunday evening and they
Gonna make
they
more
have their truck loaded up at dark and they come over and it's locked and then we got a big complaint.
Or the ones that are gonna do is they're gonna go there after hours, and they're gonna go in front of the gate.
And then it's even worse.
Yeah.
Well, that's when the motion detector go off and go to police.
Well, we'll follow up on those by exception, so if somebody violates it, we'll see what the camera picked up and one more. Yeah.
You know, the thing that, I see, if anybody that, if you go on the internet, and just Google City of Piasta compost site, it tells you where it's at, tells you the old rules, you know, the new rules, showing up anymore.
You just put it in there.
Once we tune it up, we can get one.
No, I mean, on the internet, you know. So I don't know how you get that off or change it so people know.
These rules aren't in effect yet.
We're trying to put together what.
You mean the rules that are on the sign or on the internet?
Yeah,
Okay.
We'll make sure we'll make sure, once the ordinance gets approved and it's finalized, we can make sure that we get it on the website.
Are we good with this?
Yes, we're gonna move on. Next up.
You have escrow concentrated on the agenda.
Or,
Yeah.
We're done with this.
That's not tonight.
well, I didn't think we were gonna talk about
Okay.
this, I do want to stop because we.
That's Yeah, no, sorry, that's just for.
Okay, no problem. I will get out of your pocket.
And I.
Wow, is there some sort of event happening shortly after 7 o'clock, Jake?
I gotta get home, my wife's like.
Yeah, there's kids there want to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy, thanks. for that.
Thank you.
So I didn't wait it, I didn't want to put the part for. That doesn't mean you.
I'm the case. Request for appraisal agreements for code enforcement on Oliver Avenue weed mowing.
This is a suggestion to have a call list for when we have lots that need to be mowed that is in violation of our 10-inch ordinance that we have in place.
how many Piasta businesses provide this service?
I only know of one right now, but there is language inside that draft agreement that we can set the parameter that says we will only accept qualified mowers, so to speak, within a 10-mile radius.
So is the one that's inside, city limits, yes, he's over there.
Yes,
Right.
yes, Dalton.
Is he not able to guarantee we don't do all that?
He's been very good. He's been very responsive. I had a call from another contractor that said, why is he getting all the action? So, no.
That's my answer.
I think we might need the air to let them respond to that.
Yeah. I've got nothing against it, where we put it out to get give priority A for A, B, or C.
And then.
And with no, guarantee to any of them. So if they can do every one, they'll do everything.
Right.
If they said we can't handle 10 or 20% of it, then 10 or 20% fall B.
If somebody can't respond in a couple days, then we can go down the list.
It's been very problematic this year. Last year, we had a number of complaints, and when the landowners were mowing, they were mowing the entire lot. And it was causing more issues, so I think that this year we put some teeth into it. It's like, you need to mow, it's an ordinance, we expect John to mow his entire yard, not 20 feet, that's.
He's got kids.
That's my kids. Yeah, that's not.
So if you're okay with this, I'll get this ready.
Yes. Main Society comment.
Welcome to the team, Mike.
That's right. And unfortunately, I just deleted everything on the internet, so I gotta get back up. So basically, you guys have the contract right in front of you. The only thing, the price has still been the same from the previous years that we've had the contract. I know that you guys are gonna ask the one question, how many cats and dogs do we take in a year? And so I have those documents for you from the Humane Society. Just this year alone, there was 2 cats that have been taken in, two. And then at the previous year, I believe, I don't have it up in front of me right now, but I believe it was 1 dog and 3 cats for a total of 4. Is that correct for the 22? Fiscal 21, 22, or 22, 23, whatever it was, last year, basically. That's what-
Is this your,
We don't have a dramatic, a lot. So 2 this year so far, 2 cats. And then the dogs, 1 dog and 3 cats, I believe was the previous. That's how that went.
So this isn't far reaching or.
Right, but we do, it's a service that we provide that if we find it. The one thing I'm been contemplating on is just getting $100 dog fence put inside our PD garage and just storing cats, dogs to get them back to the owners. So we don't have to pay the $115 fee, so we can put it on Facebook first and see if we can contact the owner before we bring it in.
Can we say hold rather than store?
You guys,
House.
house,
Police department will beg.
bring him in car for up to 6 hours.
Post them as a guest.
There you go. I've been contemplating that idea of just putting in just a 4x6 holding facility inside our police garage, because in the winter time, it's a heated day, someone during the summertime. Will it save us time? Yes and no. I mean, the thing is, going into the Duke, it's a 10-minute drive for us to drop it off, 15 minutes. We can drop them off, it's $115. We bring back to our PD, we will put them on Facebook, we will, we all have to feed it for that time, short time. I'd say maybe keep it a week, if it's up to a week or whatever, we'd have to feed it during that time. I'm just saying, it could be a couple days. I'm just saying. It could be, but I'm just saying, if we don't want to pay that $115 and.
Dyersville did this, correct?
Correct, Dyersville has their own shelter area where the police officers take care of the animals. Sorry?
How long do they go?
It depends, a couple days, up to a week, maybe depending on certain instances, they can get into the Duke or not, so far out, on the other side of the county. That's more of the reason why they do that too, but I just figured we put in a fence, gated area where we hold them and save $115, per dog. And we may have, thing is, we may have 1 dog a year, we could have 20 dogs here. I don't know. Yeah, Marcy?
I just have a quick question. If someone claims say you take it to the Humane Society, we have to pay.
That's correct.
If that person or that resident claims that animal,
Yep.
are they paid,
They
charged
have to pay $150 to get that animal out.
from the Humane Society?
Correct.
And if there's multiple.
And then do we not get billed?
No,
We already got billed for dropping off.
So we should be charging them if they're,
Technically, if it isn't, if there is no owner,
but shouldn't the owner then be reimbursing us as well?
we want to reimburse for it. We had.
That's up to you. I mean, do we then in turn, it's just like the mowing.
Yeah, food for thought. Do we want to have the resident pay that?
What you guys were talking about. Get that.
right now it's been. Me personally, if we make sure that all the dogs that we try, and Shawnee was here. We have a list of the dogs, dog license, they have the tag, we can get them back to them. We literally bring them back to the houses and say, here you go. You know what I mean? To bring them back. It's more or less the ones that probably come from outside city limits that are not. And I'm not saying there's dogs that are probably not licensed, it's an ordinance too. Right. So.
Cats, strays mostly?
Cats are always strays, that's the argument I have with the strays, because they're strays, they live in the city, they live outside, they're not people's pets. But yet, people don't want them around their house, and we have to get rid of them. And that's my argument with strays, is they're a stray, you don't like them, they'll move along, they don't even like it. So.
Won't keep you nice.
I want to be good at it.
I'm good as it. Go on.
So you're good with just signing it.
Just go ahead, yeah.
Doing it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Move forward.
It'll go through the council meeting for you guys to approve it.
Has this historically always been a one-year contract? Sorry.
Yes.
I believe it's 2 or
I thought it was
3.
a 3-year contract, but apparently we didn't have a contract in almost 2 years, I think it was. I think 22 it was. And it just expired and they kept it as a longer. They were good with it.
Same rate. I think it's less administrative hassle to have a 7-month year for everyone to get up its staff.
Yeah, reach out to them and see if they would be willing to do it 3 or 5.
Yeah.
Sure, I can. The problem, I don't know if they will just because of the price. In everything, all the language stays the same for the most part, except for the price. They may say, well, we don't know what the next 3 or 5 years brings, and we could be adding another $5 or $10. And that has happened in the last.
They're wanting to find it.
Right, right.
Yeah, you know, we're gonna come back to
That's right. So they would, but the price might be larger, you know what I'm saying? They may tell us that saying, fine, if you're gonna do 3 to 5, we're gonna up it to up another $10 or $5. I'm just-
They can write
just
in the
letting you know.
contract that it goes up by $5.
Yeah, I always price protect the contract by saying, let's do a 5-year agreement. Price can be changed once per year by the party annually, not to be exceed 5% or 4% or something. And then we don't have to look at it every year.
Okay, so moving forward, we want to go ahead and just move on the 1-year contract and have Mike.
Yeah.
Reach out. Okay.
Sure. Cost sharing discussion for green site with the.
Where would you like to start?
Is this? Our, we,
Well, at this point, I would say no. This, my recommendation would be to have a project in hand to be able to tie these costs back with. So if he does develop that 42 or 47 acres, that we can go ahead and, update, renew the urban renewal, and then bring those costs in with whatever he builds there. We are working on an SRF for the lift station, so that is eligible. I can't, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it's not eligible, but that would be my recommendation to do that. I have heard that he is looking at putting up a warehouse, so to me, that's a perfect opportunity to at least extend that offer out to him that we would, participate on a certain percentage based on the project.
The invoices that it's like, that you put in.
Yep.
So that's what he's asking for.
That's where you're looking for project.
What if the already?
What have we already committed to that area? We're right now currently working on the SRF, for the lift station. We committed to doing the land swap.
That's 650, what if?
I don't believe we pass.
But if you haven't.
If you hadn't done it,
Yeah, then
it would have been SRF eligible.
we kept telling them that quit working
Well,
because you
and-
keep messing up the fund.
Right, and it's like, you do one or the other. That was the conversation we had, either do a TIF or do an SRF.
We committed 600.
We will be, yes, to the SRF,
If they stop.
Well, that's.
751. But some of that piping could be buried in there for the lift station, I don't know.
That is the correct concept.
Yeah, pardon me?
That is the.
I would imagine.
That's why I think it's not a bad idea to talk about moving into the. And we look at what the project is that he's gonna put up and what kind of number. If we would have been doing this, hey, in consideration for the work you've done, we will make it a little bit higher. I agree. And then I like that, that's the minimum cash outlay.
Can I add something there?
Sure.
How can you do the SRF when you just charge residents an increase in their sewer rates? Because you have to keep a certain percentage in that fund above what you owe. So how can you talk about going to an SRF?
For what we're talking about on cost sharing,
Yeah,
I think they just decided that we were gonna use TIF, that would be the best route for it.
why would you even have thought of?
Because we talked about.
Now I'm wondering how we got such a high rate we had to keep in for the SRF fund.
Because we had $800,000 bill for sludge removal.
More than we expected.
We also used the loan off that SRF loan to fund something else too.
What might that be?
It was for, MSA just took the percentage that you got, you could get a loan, a certain percentage,
Are you talking about stormwater?
no. Mm-mm. This was probably 4 years ago, wasn't it?
I don't know anything about using that.
Yeah, it was
money for different projects.
IIW was handling the loan. And when the city found out that there was funds available for a grant or a loan from the SRF fund that you could get off of that loan.
Oh, I think
they
you're
took
talking
it for
about
parks
Water's
and
Edge,
trails.
that Water's, the SRF for Water's Edge.
Is that what it was used
I
for?
believe it was, yeah.
Is that what it was used for?
It was not used for that.
It was
Water's Edge has not,
Hypothesized, but never pursued.
right.
So why aren't, with the increases we had, this is too late, I guess. Why didn't we have enough to cover the SRF balance in our sewer fund? Because of the sludge.
Because of the overage on the sludge.
So what happened, if we could have used that money, if it didn't go to that project, why couldn't that money gone to cover the sludge problem?
And borrow it.
Could you?
Because we didn't borrow against it,
borrow.
That was available.
but we didn't know we were going to have a sludge overage issue.
Is it no longer available?
It wouldn't have been available with the project for though.
But we aren't going to use SRF funds for just that.
No, it sounds like the council would like to pursue a development agreement.
I was agreeing with it.
For future development,
Two separate.
the lift station is separate topic.
So you still have to have that balance, you know, so.
What needs to be done for the lift station?
Well, right now,
None of that works.
right, they're doing,
That's what
right, well, that's what we're working on, Steve is still here. Everything's kind of come to a screeching halt because in order to be, in accordance with SRF, there cannot be anything done, obviously, before we enter into that agreement. I think they're working on the environmental right now. Hoping to hear something, I don't know, by the end of October.
Which means that lift station cost wasn't in our projected estimates of impact to the sewer fund.
No, no,
Right, so it'd be a new topic, it'd be a new issue when it's from the district. So, you know,
So we're gonna have a bigger balance in the fund. Isn't that right?
by all the highest projections, we're gonna be fine with the increase that we have coming up.
so she did project it,
Is she
she
aware
did
of this
project
one?
it. That was one question, that sounds like it was taken into consideration. But we have a delegation here.
Hopefully,
We're trying.
I know.
The growth projections in that estimate were very conservative too. So hopefully we'll get a good decision.
Anything else, anyone? All right. What's up?
Go Chiefs!
Yeah.
Anybody to be, I don't see more. Not like. Not like.